So Tyson Fury makes a successful comeback with a fourth round TKO against Sefer Seferi. Seferi retired after the fourth. But before I talk about the main event, such as it was, I want to touch on a couple of the undercard fights. Nathan Gorman against Shawn Turner. Gorman did a very good job on Turner. He stamped his authority on the fight from the opening bell. He never allowed Turner to get into the fight. Gorman was quite rough on the inside. There was a lot of use of the forearm and also putting the palm of his glove into Shawn Turner's face. A very spiteful performance. I think he was a little annoyed by some of the things that Shawn Turner had said pre-fight, and he wanted to make him pay for it in the ring, and he certainly did that. Very good hand speed. We've always known that Gorman's got good hand speed, good combination punching, boxing on the back foot, waiting for Turner to make a mistake, then he would open up on him with combinations. Yeah, good, impressive performance by Nathan Gorman, and he did a much better job on Shawn Turner than Hrgović did. And Hrgović is a guy who I think is being more highly touted than Nathan Gorman. So to put in a performance like that and to get rid of Shawn Turner in that fashion really should get more eyes on Nathan Gorman in the future. And I've been saying for a while that to me, Nathan Gorman has shown more as a professional so far than Daniel Dubois has, because Dubois is getting hyped more than Gorman is. Dubois is supposedly Frank Warren's answer to Anthony Joshua. That's what Frank Warren wants him to be. But I just haven't seen it in Dubois yet. I'm not saying he don't have it, but I haven't seen it. There's nothing I've seen of Daniel Dubois so far that has particularly impressed me. He's a big, strong, young guy. He's obviously got punching power there, but I haven't seen any particular speed. I haven't seen any particular skill, any kind of savvy. I've just seen a big, young, strong guy go forward and bludgeon people who are horribly overmatched. And that's okay. He's a very young guy and he's very, very early on in his career, and they're stepping him up in his next fight. So we'll see how his next fight goes. But I think the focus and the attention in terms of heavyweights in Frank Warren's stable should be on Nathan Gorman right now. He's had more fights than Dubois, and I think so far he's shown more. He's shown more to get excited about. In my view, he's fought better opponents. So yeah, good performance by Nathan Gorman. He's also slimming down a bit. Yeah, he's still a little fleshy and whatnot, but he'll continue slimming down. He's a very young guy, and that was a good performance against Shawn Turner, definitely. So one to watch for the future. All right, moving on to the Terry Flanagan fight, which was for the vacant WBO light welterweight title. Well, I put up a post yesterday in my Facebook group, Hatman Boxing, which, loads of people saw the post and commented on the post. And on that post, I said that the Flanagan Hooker fight was the fight I expected to be the most competitive on this card out of the major fights on the card. And when I mean major, I mean I mean it in the relative sense. Yeah. Out of the major fights on this particular card, the one I was expecting to be most competitive was Flanagan versus Hooker. And a few people took issue with me and said, oh, Hooker's no good and he lost to this guy really and got a gift. Well, I've never rated Terry Flanagan. That's all I know. I've never rated Flanagan, so I expected this to be a competitive fight, and it turned out to be a competitive fight. In fact, it turned out to be too competitive for Terry Flanagan, and he dropped a 12-round split decision. Most people believing it should have actually been a unanimous decision to Maurice Hooker. That's his first loss. And Terry Flanagan, really, he was world champion, but it's like nobody ever realizes he was world champion. Obviously at a lower weight, but who, if you asked the public in Britain, would know that Terry Flanagan was a world champion? He was like this silent world champion that went totally under the radar. And that's really testament to who was promoting him, which of course was Frank Warren, right? Frank Warren just could not market the guy. He couldn't get anybody following him, nothing like that. And he eventually dropped his WBO belt at lightweight, moved up and now he's lost in his first world title challenge. So yeah, Flanagan has had a disappointing career, I think it's fair to say. Disappointing career. It's not like he's the most exciting guy anyway, but even if you ain't the most exciting guy, if you can get fans behind you, if you can get promoted in the right way, then good things can happen for you. But Frank Warren just hasn't been able to sell Terry Flanagan to the public, and obviously most of Flanagan's recent fights in recent years have been on Box Nation, and Box Nation wasn't the biggest platform. Perhaps if they'd had BT Sport, if they'd had this BT Sport deal in place when Flanagan was lightweight champion, they might have done better things with him in terms of building his profile and whatnot. But such as it is, it wasn't to be, and Flanagan takes his first loss. Now, moving on to the main event. A lot of the crowd were booing, not only during the fight, but especially after the fight. They cheered Tyson Fury to the ring, but there actually was a huge fight that broke out in the crowd at one point. Tyson Fury was showboating from the opening bell against Sefer Seferi, and in the second round, he actually got warned by the referee for showboating, and that's something personally I don't like. You know, I mean, I don't like when the referee warns people for showboating, particularly not in a fight like this, because this was a nothing fight. The crowd were enjoying the showboating. You know, in the UK, the referees tend to be a little bit prudish when it comes to showboating, and I don't like that. You know, I like it in the States where they allow a lot of referees, not all referees, but a lot of referees allow a lot more showboating in the States, and I prefer that. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with showboating. I was talking recently about Michael Venom Page's recent MMA bout where he was doing a lot of showboating, and I found it very entertaining. So yeah, I'm not a fan of the referee preventing Fury from showboating, because again, it was a nothing fight. You need to add some kind of entertainment value to it. Tyson Fury's showboating was bringing theatricality and making it a more entertaining spectacle, because at the end of the day, it was a gross mismatch. It was always going to be. And those of us in the know, those of us who know boxing, we all knew what this was. It was a gross mismatch. Apparently, a lot of the people in the crowd didn't realize what a mismatch it was going to be, because a lot of them were just casuals. And I guess they are the ones who were booing when Seferi quit on his stool after 4 rounds. They were the ones who were booing, and even in the 3rd round there was some boos, and after the fight everybody cleared out the arena pretty quickly, and when Tyson Fury was still doing his post-fight interview, the arena was half empty. You know, people were not happy. Frank Warren had a serious look on his face. Fury had a serious look on his face, because they know that they're not going to be able to get away with that level of opponent for very long in the eyes of the public. But one thing I will say though is Fury is set to get out again on the undercard of Carl Frampton at Windsor Park. On that card, he might be able to get away with another, you know, knockover job, another low quality opponent, because he's not the main event. But in terms of main events, he's not going to get away with fighting someone like a Sefer Seferi again. No way. He's not going to get away with that. So for a main event, they're going to have to step it up next time. So yeah, he'll get away with something under Carl Frampton. But as far as Tyson Fury's actual performance and how he looked, he didn't look good, but I don't think he looked terribly bad, all things considered. Considering that he has lost an enormous amount of weight, considering that he's still 30 pounds overweight, considering that he's been out the ring for 2.5 years, he didn't look that bad. And you can still see flashes of the old Fury in there. But clearly he's a long way off his best. And to be honest with you, after seeing that, now I can see why Tony Bellew wanted to fight Tyson Fury in his first comeback fight. Because Tony Bellew in there tonight would have actually stood a pretty good chance. Yeah, because Fury, offensively Fury was alright. But defensively, I know he was messing around because he knew he was in there with a pushover. So perhaps if he was in there with Bellew, he would have been a lot more clever about his work. But still, I think there was the opportunity there to catch Fury off guard quite often. and someone like Bellew would have had a much better chance of catching him off guard than Sefer Seferi. Seferi was terrible, and we expected him to be terrible, but in fact he turned out to be even worse than I expected. In terms of his technique and stuff like that, he looked like a complete novice in there. The way he was throwing his punches, his foot movement, everything was just unbelievably novice-y from Sefer Seferi. And I have to mention some of the hype talk from his dad John pre-fight, because his dad John was saying that Fury's dad John was saying that Seferi could knock out Tony Bellew. Well, I'll leave you guys to decide whether you think that was an honest statement or whether that was pre-fight hype, because, you know, again, I'll let you guys decide what you think of John Fury saying that. So yeah, Fury, all things considered, I don't think he looked that bad. He looked alright. He's got a lot of work to do. Fury said that he is looking to fight for a world title before the end of the year. Well, that certainly won't be against Joshua or Wilder. Perhaps he's talking about Manuel Charr by the end of the year. And that is a guy who, a year or so ago, he was talking about fighting. If you remember, there was a time when they were ringside, Manuel Charr and Tyson Fury, for some fight. I can't remember which fight it was. And they squared up to each other with smiles on their faces. So, yeah, maybe if Tyson Fury can get Manuel Charr, would he be able to beat him? Potentially, yeah, potentially. Manuel Charr's a tough guy to come back from what he's come back from, and he's always had heart, but very, very limited. Extremely limited. So I would not put it past Tyson Fury to be able to get in there and beat Manuel Charr, even on that form, even now. I wouldn't put it past Tyson Fury at all. So, yeah, we'll see. Let's get some more weight off him. Get him lighter. Get him more active. Get some of that ring sharpness back. And then we'll reassess where he's at. But certainly, there was no way on that kind of form he would belong anywhere near a ring that contained Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder or any of the top 10 guys in the heavyweight division right now. Not in that particular form, but you know, we knew that. We knew that all this pre-fight hype from Fury saying that he was ready to fight Joshua in his first comeback fight. We knew all that was nonsense. It's all bluster. You have to take a lot of things that Tyson Fury says with a pinch of salt. And yeah, 2.5 years out, he still has something there, but there's a hell of a long way to go to get back to his best form. So we'll see how quickly he can do it, if he can do it at all. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I've never personally seen a fighter come back from, you know, 2.5 years out, having lost, what, nearly 100 pounds in weight. Or maybe, is it over 100 pounds in weight? I think it's over 100 pounds in weight, isn't it, that he's had to lose? I've never seen someone have to lose that much weight with that much time off, come back and ever be the same again, ever be as good as they were prior to putting all that weight on. I've never seen it done. So if Tyson Fury can do it, that's a first as far as I'm concerned. We'll see if he can. So drop your comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about Tyson Fury's performance and the whole card in general. All right. I don't think Eddie Hearn will be shaking in his boots after watching that fight card. I don't think he'd be worried about that at all. I think Frank Warren has got a long way to go at the moment in terms of building his stable, building his brand, and rivaling what Matchroom are doing at the moment. And again, people are going to say, oh, Hatman, you're a Eddie Hearn fanboy. I'm not no Eddie Hearn fanboy. He don't pay me. I'm just telling you the truth. What, are you trying to tell me that these Frank Warren cards are up to the standard of Eddie Hearn shows? Eddie Hearn has just put on, you know, he's just announced Dylan White versus Joseph Parker. Okay, and this is something which Frank Warren has been ridiculing. He's been saying it shouldn't be pay-per-view. Okay, fair enough. That's his opinion. It shouldn't be pay-per-view. He did say it's a good fight. But just look at the quality of that fight and look at the quality of the undercard compared to what Frank Warren is going to be putting on. Like, it's night and day. I know people want to hate Eddie Hearn because he's popular, but let's sit down, forget about who you love and hate, and just look at the cards and look at the fights. Like, it's night and day, man. Frank Warren has got a long way to go. And I hope he does. I hope he gets, you know, back his glory years of the 1990s and stuff like that and puts on great cards like we used to see from him. But at the moment, Frank Warren is a long way off that. Anyway, let me know how you feel in the comment section, people. It's Hatman, I'm out.